Paul, thanks so much for taking the time. Always a pleasure to get to have a chance to speak with you.
It's a pleasure for me as well, Dennis. It's nice to talk to you again.
What can you tell us about John Macfie and the photos that he took?
A very interesting gentleman. John Macfie was also a photographer, which is very fortunate. I came across John Macfie a number of years ago when I was working on doing research for Blanket Toss Under Midnight Sun, which was a photo book that came out in 2019. And John Macfie was one of the chapters in the book. And just so people know what we're talking about here, John Macfie was a trap line manager, which in the 50s and 1960s, for a whole decade, he traveled through the Watershed area of northwestern Ontario, through all the Anishinaabe, Cree, and the Sinu communities up there. He was there for a whole decade, and during that time, he just took these amazing collection of community photographs that I'm very proud to see now coming together at the McMichael Canadian Art Collection as his first photo exhibition.
Well, I was lucky myself to live up there for about a decade, and beautiful pictures, about 150 of them. When I look at them, they kind of reminds me of a simpler time, for sure. What are some of the things that stuck out for you in the photos?
I think that's incredible. You just hit the nail on the head, Dennis. It is that time. This is 50s and 60s in this region. This is pre-television. It's obviously pre-cell phones and computers. There's no GPS. People are out on the land. There's radio, but not much else. The languages are much stronger, of course. And it's just a lifestyle. This was a time of John Macfie did a lot of traveling between and among these communities, by dog sled in the winter, by canoes in the summer, by bush plane when they could. There were no hotels in these communities at those times. He would, take a blanket, a roll with him and sleep at the HBC store or wherever it was. And over the course of a decade, he developed a close friendship with many people in these communities. And that, for me, is what makes these photographs both so important and so intimate, because they capture Indigenous life through this whole region, such an important region of Ontario, through that period. And I haven't seen a collection like this in my years of looking at photography, so it's so exciting to see it here.
It's funny you mentioned the 1950s or so, but looking at them now, you almost think that it must be centuries ago almost.
It does feel that way. It's so interesting. You see the differences in the community. You see the differences in fashion. And there's some great photos. There's a man in overalls and, just doing some work. But he's wearing this beautiful beaded belt. So people were the fashion. People, even if there's two people to see you, basically the bling that people would wear. It really, it's just an amazing thing to see. And I think it also really is a testament to the strength and dignity of people through these times. These weren't easy times in the 50s and 60s.
Many people will be familiar with the previous work that you mentioned there, Blanket Toss Under Midnight Sun, that looked at everyday life in 8 Indigenous communities through archival photos like this. This is all part of the Indigenous Archival Photo Project. Can you give us a bit more on that project itself?
I'm happy to, Des. I curated the Indigenous Photo Project, Photo Project. It's been going on about 10 years now. And it's an online project looking at archival collections of photography of Indigenous people, going from the early 1900s up to the 1970s, through archives, museums. And what I've done is taken these images and we've used social media, primarily Facebook, because that's where a lot of people in the communities are. And we've been able to identify people. That's my auntie, that's my uncle. Mm-hmm. And out of that, this whole narrative of people's memories of the person or of that time or of the time that photo was taken, have created their own story. So it's a way of community storytelling as well. that connects, that brings the photographs back to life. And that's the most, I view it as a connector. It's a big connector to bring the photos back to the communities and let the communities kind of tell their story about these photos. Because these photos are in museums or archive collections in big cities, usually in the South. So it's a way of bringing them home.
Absolutely. Give Paul a follow on Facebook and X or Twitter, because he's always tweeting out some amazing photographs. Paul, wish you all the best with this latest work. Always a pleasure.
It's a pleasure again, and thank you so much, Dennis. You have a great day.